What's up, guys? We are ready for today. And here I am. Wait, can you guys hear? Well, barely. Whoosh. Hello, guys. It's me, Pottery Demon. We're doing a new video today. I know you guys can't really hear me, but I'll be over there in a second so you can. I'm just going to be doing some more pots today. Trying a different, this is a soundtrack from like Castlevania, I think. And so it's a bunch of compilations of all that stuff. I still haven't really figured out the whole how I'm going to kind of make everything match. I think that's actually going to take a lot of time to do. So maybe after this video today, I'm going to be applying to a job and then I can figure that out for us. But we'll see how time is sort of allowing us. You gotta make sure you guys get stretched out for your pots. You're gonna look like a bug. Alright, see you in a second. And now, I'm back over here. Hit on the head cam. Whoop, I gotta get this, my hair made. I'm feeling pretty good today, guys. I think, oh yeah, Beth asked me, what am I using as a wedging thing, right? So hold on, let me go to this. So Beth, this is, it has actually a really interesting story. So I graduated from Cranbrook Academy of Art recently, right? And, you know, it's a 2-year program and people come in and out of that place and sometimes they build some things. Some individual, before my time there, built this, just sort of this cart, right? And I guess they didn't want to take it with them, so they left it for a person who was a grade above me. So, and then when they didn't want it and they were leaving, then it was kind of passed down to me, and I should have been a good boy and I should have continued that tradition, but I was kind of a little bit selfish and I really liked the table, so I took it with me, and now it's a part of my thing. And so that's what I use for wedging. It's just a wooden top thing, and I push it up against a wall, and so it doesn't rock as much. Sometimes if I wedge, I will use this canvas wooden board. You just glued some canvas to that wooden board, and that's how it is. But yeah, that's kind of, I think that was your only question, I think. Here, let me just see quick. I want you guys to see my password. Hold on. Okay. Sorry. Oh wait, I didn't even set my microphone on. Let's get this on there. Let's see. YouTube, exit, things. Using his wedging tip. Yeah, it's just a cart. And the other thing. When you open. You also asked me, where is my thumb on my left hand? When do I open? I can turn this on now. Maybe this is an easier way. Now you guys can just see. So, I don't even know if you guys can see all this. But it says, where's your thumb on your left hand when you open? Open the clay on my left thumb. Where's my thumb on your left hand when you open? Okay. I made my first tree. It's short. I didn't make enough trunks, so it didn't twist like yours. Maybe the walls were too thick. Oh, okay, cool. Anyway, fun to do something fun. Do you look like you're attacking? I do look like I'm attacking the clay, that is true. I think I need more aggressive, but the time I got it centered, I'm afraid to screw it up. Anyways, thank you for your help. The last one you made that you closed up, I like the bottom on the first round. It looked like those little shoes that could walk away. Oh, wow. It's so interesting. I was actually thinking about One of them is like a soldier with feet. So that's kind of interesting. What are your classes? How much do you charge? So, and then I just told you about the wedging table, but where my classes, I'll just tell you about my left thumb when I get there, Beth. But where my classes, so I teach at a couple different places. And I don't really, I just get paid like hourly, so I don't really charge anything, but I think the classes range anywhere from like $200 to like $350 for each of the, it's like usually they're like 8 to 10 week classes, and I teach at some places, but I'm not sure if how public I want to be with like some of that information. But I teach at 4 different places. Yeah, I'll have to think about if I'm gonna. I don't even know. Maybe y'all already know where I live, but I'm just gonna be a little bit private about some of that stuff. But I can tell you about, like, I work at 4 different places, and they vary in like sort of what they are, right? So, for example, some of them are a little bit like just an art center, like a community center, and then I have one that's like almost like a museum with an added addition onto it, and then I also let's see, I also teach all sorts of age groups, right? So I teach like from little kids, like 9-year-olds, all the way to, you know, people in their like 70s, you know, late 60s, that area, right? And so maybe in the 80s, I don't know. But I teach all sorts of different people, and each one of them is kind of different. So some of the art centers are more geared towards like adults, and then other ones are more geared to like kids. And I'll tell you, it ranges on price on some of these places, and then each place, like, yeah, you got to remember, if you go to an art center, you're not just automatically gonna, you know, find the right teacher. You know, I think like right now, you know, it's gonna be hard to find someone who like, and I'm not saying that I know exactly what I'm doing, but I am saying like I really try hard while I'm like teaching people to like help them understand like movement of the clay, right? But if you go to a place, they're not really going to want to teach you movement of the clay. They're going to teach you like almost like steps to get a result, right? Where I think like when I'm teaching people, I really want them to like feel like what they're doing. And so if you're looking for somebody kind of like that, I would say you're probably going to have to go to like a place that's a little bit more formal instead of just a classic like art center, you know? So that, or, you know, you could get private lessons from somebody. I know a lot of places do private lessons, and I just think that like I struggle with getting around to everybody, right? I struggle so much to get around to like all the students that are in some of my classes, but I try my best, right? I know a lot of people probably would not be able to get to everybody like what I can. I really am trying my best to like skirt around, and so I think a lot of people, you know, that you'll get a class in, you might even get like, if you're lucky, like 5 minutes of like them trying to like actually help you figure something out on the wheel, right? Like I probably can get like 15 minutes per person, right? And I mean, some people do like really good at just like teaching larger groups, but I think ceramics, if you're not really like with somebody on the wheel there, it's gonna be so hard to like to help or to learn, right? I mean, Beth, you said you've been doing it for like I think you said 10 years, right? Like you know, there are going to be people in that class that are just starting from the very beginning of maybe their ceramics career, right? And so those people kind of get a little bit of a priority with time spent, just because they can't really make anything, so, and you can make things, and so it's going to be a little bit different from the beginning, and then maybe later in the class you might get somebody. So if I'm you, and if you really want to get like really good at ceramic and clay manipulating on the wheel, like I would try to find somebody who you really think like knows like what they're doing, and like work with them one-on-one in person. It like maybe it sounds like you have your own little studio, like even just having them, inviting them out if you feel comfortable with that, or if they have a place. Like I think one-on-one is like really one of the best ways that you're going to learn the fastest, right? But yeah, I think that's sort of my recommendation to you, because sometimes those like for the cost of a place and how much one-on-one interaction, and depending on who's teaching it, it's so many variables, and the last thing you want is you spend like 300 bones on a freaking bones. That's so funny. There's a skeleton right there. But you spend 300 bones on a class, right? And you're only getting one-on-one with that teacher like a little bit, and then you also like you never really know like how good they are until you really get to sit with them, right? There's a lot of people that know how to make, but they don't really know like how they're making, right? And so you really got to find somebody who knows how they're making and can explain that to you, and then also can like sort of see what you're doing and analyze it and like understand how to address things. Because when I'm teaching somebody in my classes, some of them might be really devout in some way of like throwing, and they're not going to be moving or budging, right? And so you have to sort of on the fly understand, okay, well, if they're not going to do that, right, what steps can they take to sort of finesse it to work, right? And so you got to have somebody who's really thinking about those things in regards to your style of making. And it's kind of fun, because when I'm learning all these different styles, dang, sorry, Beth, hold on. I just missed the left thumb. So my left hand, so my left thumb when I'm opening up the clay. So when I'm pushing the clay down, right, they're just going straight down. And if you ever, here, let's see how close I can get here. Yeah, if you ever, it's off center at this point, nothing's stopping you from taking this edge here and slowly pushing this down to the bottom. You're just taking a wider angle and trying to fix that off-centeredness in the middle. So that's something that you can do. And if sometimes my thumb's open, other times my finger's open, right? Sometimes if I open my thumb, they're curling up and around, right? And so I'm trying to imagine this chunk is like a cake, and there's 3 layers of the cake, right? Well, you want to be kind of manipulating that bottom layer of that cake. And so if you ever struggle with this part and it always ends up being off center, try cutting the clay with your finger, right? And I know that sounds kind of weird, but a lot of times people use their whole, like all this surface area of their finger, and then they're slowly pulling that outward. You're moving that giant thick chunk. But if you cut the clay on the bottom layer, and so what I mean by cut is like you're not moving that clay on the top. That top clay is moving because you're moving that one layer in your cake, right? Like my fingers are the 3 layers in the cake, you know? If I move this layer out, because the clay is all connected, these layers are going to naturally want to move out. Instead of trying to move all the layers at once, right, which a lot of people do, and it's hard to move that much clay, if you cut that layer on the bottom, right, then the rest of this clay, it gives you a spot to start your first pole that you can just hang out underneath here and just slowly carry that up, and you have like this nice undercut, right? But if I'm opening with my thumbs, you know, I'm curling my thumb across, but you know, I don't really open with my thumbs very often on larger objects. I think it's a little bit more difficult. And so I only do that with like small cups, or if I'm throwing off the hump. What I do is my thumb is just right around here on the outside, and it's not really doing too much, right? I just have it as support, right? And this kind of looks like a llama. So you got your llama, and that's biting on the clay. So your thumb's down, right? I just have my palm and my wrist, look at how it's supported on the wheel. A lot of people, I don't know why, but they come from the top like this, right? And it looks kind of awkward to me, and you're not having support. You always want support. So my wrist is support, my hand is rubbing up against this wheel head, and then I'm like Captain Hook, right? And a lot of people use the palm of their finger pad. You want to use the very tip of your finger pad, right? And so that way you have really, really high pressure. Think like water through a really small hole can cut through steel, right, with enough pressure. right? And that's like water jet cutting, right? And so the same way, we're having very fine pressure on our finger there, right, on the interior, cutting across that. All I'm doing is pulling towards my palm here. Like I'm just trying to bring those fingers towards my palm. And then my fingers on the top and my hand are just resting on there. My thumb, like I said, it's not really doing anything except just chilling out on the outside just because it feels comfortable, right? So that's how I'm doing the, like my opening up the clay, right? And I'm making sure I'm just like pushing that bottom down. And again, that's all my thumb is doing, is just hanging out. It's not really pushing into the clay, but it's not moving the clay, right? It's tight on the clay, but it's not moving the clay. And then here I go. I'm just going back to my claw grip pole. All right, I think we're good with this. I can fit this there. And now, here I am, going back underneath. This image, guys, I think this just looks really cool right now. I don't know if you guys, what you guys think about that, but I don't know. I know the like age group of like my audience, there's a big variety, and so I think it's kind of interesting to see like what some of the older audience thinks about some of these more like Castlevania's a video game, right? It's a medieval video game that's kind of like retro, right? So it has like a lot of, it doesn't have fluorescent colors in the game, but it's in that era. It has that vibe of fluorescence. And vibe's also a term. I guess that's weird. How do we explain vibe? Just like a style, right? But it's not just like a style of something is a vibe, right? It's also like an agreeance of something, right? Like, oh, like if you're vibing with that, like you really like that style, you're appreciating it's making you feel some way. I think that's the best way I can describe vibe. Maybe somebody else in the comments has a better way. But the music from these games is actually interesting, right? It's not just like, it's a game, so it's just like, it's just a game. It's fun and it's enjoyable, but it's so wild. The games and their music genres, like it totally opened up this whole new world of music in my mind, right? Because like, when would you need like fantasy medieval sounding things like without games, right? It's not really, maybe for plays, but even then it's hard to get some of these technology sounds and plays, and I'm assuming it was probably even harder back like when some of my older audience was young, right? And so now there's such a vivid variety of music, because not just because of games, but a lot of games and movies obviously too. And I think that it really adds something that you can tap into, right? Like sometimes when I'm listening to music, if it's a medieval thing, I feel like I'm wandering through like a forest and there's like a pack of wolves and I have to battle the wolves. And it sounds silly, but it really does affect the way that I look at work, how I look at life, how I look at all these different aspects. And all that stuff is sort of reflected in some of my work, right? Like, and I think that's kind of the coolest thing is like, I think potters in general have always been these conduits of their times, right? And the times now are so complex because there's so many different microcosms of like, think of all these like snow globes in a giant room, right? And so I'm trying to be an artist not for a snow globe, but for the room that inhabits those snow globes, right? I'm trying to look at, maybe I'll pick one snow globe out of like what my life is about, right? I almost view self as two different things, right? You have the self, right, that's interacting with things, like that's what I grew up watching, that's the games I play, that's the nerdy things like video games that I do in general, right? This computers, that's all these different things that I just like, right? And then there's like the self that exists out of that and understands that I'm only one snow globe in that room, right? And so I try to make work from that place. I think it's very common for people in my generation of, I guess, artists to make work from their snow globe and culture, right? And I'll let that peek through, but I think the way I talk about my work and the way I understand art is I want to have a conversation outside of that realm. That's why I'm not making just verbatim, like I want to make a game, pottery game, and that's an in the snow globe idea. But my pottery practice and the ideology that I have behind making, I think it's a view from outside the snow globe. That's what I'm thinking about a lot, right? I have so many ideas and thoughts about that. I think about it all the time, and it drives me like crazy. So here I am. I'm getting ready to pull. So 1, boom, 2, boom, 3, boom, right? Boom, boom. Now extend that, extend that, extend that. You know, my finger on the inside, it's kind of interesting. It's like an off-kiltered S, right? So if it's facing you, if they're not right above each other, they're off when I'm doing that. And that's what's allowing one side to push in and one side to push out. And that's how I'm getting some of the thinness. Oh, I missed one. That's how I'm getting some of the thinness of the trees when they collapse, because I can really push that clay in because there's nothing behind it supporting it. But there's something to the side of it supporting it, so you can get some level of even lines. Okay, so here I am, spider pulling the inside. Whoa! Make sure you spread those fingers out, and a little bit of off-center, you know, that's fine. I just kind of like to see what happens with these things when they get a little bit wonky, right? Look how much I've opened that top up. Hold on, let me get that back on set. Look how much I've opened that top up. Whew. I really like a lot of light can get in there, and you guys can even see, let's see, you guys can even see the spiral now, where sometimes it's a little bit dark. Oh, it's already starting to collapse, so I got to start working real fast on this bottom. And right now we're getting ready for the medieval battle that's ensuing behind us in the audio. No, the dragon of doom is coming to destroy the tower. Right? You know, these forms actually used to be medieval towers. It's kind of an interesting thought, but there was this red dragon that kept appearing in a lot of my life. I even got this little like pencil box of this red dragon to remind me of it. But in some games, there was always these red dragons I was so fond of, right? Like the blood dragon. There was this one time where there's this thing called a blood dragon, and that was in Skyrim. I'm not sure if it was a modded thing, but it was just this bright red dragon. And I just remember I was at this place where you study magic. It's called the College of Winterhold. And I exited from the College of Winterhold. And I'm sure it's scripted because there's so many times where I exit a place and there's all of a sudden there's a dragon somewhere. But it was just so interesting. I got out from doing a quest about learning some new magic, right? And all of a sudden this dragon just popped out of nowhere in the middle of the college where I learned, like, learning this magic and took all these quests, right? And it just starts destroying everything. It was so cool because this college was kind of like on this mountain almost. It was like, and you had to take this long bridge, this sky bridge over to the school, right, of magic. Such an interesting little fight, right? And, you know, they're scripted, but there's a percentage of it happening, right? And so it felt like such a special battle. I just got this thing called a ward, which can block like dragon fire or something, right? And it's just to ward off damage or something. And so I just learned this spell, how to use it, and then out of some random luck, I got to use it against the dragon's fire like a couple seconds later, right? It was such a cool moment in that game. And then, you know, obviously in Dark Souls, there's this giant red dragon called the Hellkite Dragon, and it's like your first, after you fight this first big boss and you're trying to discover something new, while you enter this new place of this dilapidated city, all of a sudden this giant dragon drops down, and it's like it makes you look so tiny in comparison to it. And it's this huge battle that ensues later on, right? Because it's such a difficult enemy and you actually don't even need to fight it. But in that moment, you just like set this giant enemy on what awaits you, right? There's like this really weird intensity for it. And so these dragons just kept popping up all through my life. And so I don't even know why I went to the dragons. Why did I go to the dragons? Oh well. There I go. I went on like, that's my trend, as I go on these rants about random things and then I just get completely lost. Maybe I was explaining vibe? Man, that was a long time ago. I talked for way too long. But I do think that music now has had such an influence. Like, games have these really cool ways, and I think it affects my work, right? I made a dragon a while ago. It's a red dragon, actually, out of ceramic, but I think I just need to remake it. And I don't know why dragons keep popping up. Even when I was a little kid, I went from really liking dinosaurs to watching these like really terribly CGI dragon movies of like they really found a real life dragon. And it was like obviously it was fake, but I believed it as a kid. And I thought they were the coolest things. I even remember seeing the first like dragon in a game, like, and that's what I mean. Like, why I think, like, what's so cool about living in today's world, right? Like, I actually, in my mind, like visually, I can say like I battled this red dragon in a video game, right? And you know, that opens up so many new ideas and ways of thinking in somebody's brain that was not as available before, right? That's why I think a lot of, you know, young guys, they get this like, we get in this main character mindset, right? Like we want to be this main character in our own little stories, right? And then a lot of young men, they get jobs where they're not the main character, and they feel like something's missing, right? And so I would say that part of that probably has to do with also, and this isn't everybody obviously, but there's guys who think this way, and you see them and then they're just like missing something in their life, right? And so it makes us do certain things, right? Like I really like this in my mind, like there's something about, I go on an adventure my whole life, I dedicate it to an ideal, right? And then I'll become a legend in the game of a potter in blank blank, right? Like that's so close to the way I think I see a video game, right? Like you go out and you master some magic and you have this huge adventure and become like some special thing, right? And you're leveling up your character, right? But I like to almost view that as like that can be like a real life thing. And so having that available to your life and like affecting how you think about the world, it's just such a cool thing to be a part of. And what an interesting time to be a part of it in, right? There's some really special things for like I think a lot of the kids my age are a lot of doomers, right? You know, it's all doom and gloom, but we do really live in one of the most culturally rich generations ever, right? There's some really, and I don't mean culturally, oh my god, that word's too hard, but rich in like that saying that older generations aren't, right? But we just have access to a lot more because of the internet. It's kind of amazing how much we have access to, right? So it's really interesting that we can interact with people across the world in such a personal way. I think it's just really special. So I almost got some clay in my eye. But I think that what a fun time to make work in when you can have a conversation about some of those aspects of life, right? Like a lot of people, they think in their snow globe, but it's gonna be so cool when they talk about the artists of this generation and they're thinking about like how to describe it in books. I'm like, what if I'm sort of tapping into some of that knowledge? I don't know yet, right? But I have thoughts on on those things, right? Okay, here we go. Oh, that one ripped, so that's kind of interesting. So you guys will see that later, but the other pot I'm looking at here ripped. I'm feeling that. Went a little bit too fast. I kind of got a little bit antsy with that pull. Too much at once, and so you see I was moving so fast, and so now I got these kind of channels. I feel like I'm frolicking through a meadow right now. Like this right now, this image is just chaos. Dude throwing a pottery. I feel the music's like I'm going through metal, but there's a blue skeleton and a red, like radiant red background as he's talking about the future of art history. It's so dumb, dude. See, how do I explain this in a title? Or just I don't even know. Just chaos. Maybe that's the name of this. Just too much. That's okay. We're finishing the poll. Pretty wide. That's okay. Push that in. Okay. We're gonna get some of the water out of that center there. Woo! My next big investment I'm gonna be making here is getting a slider for the camera, so it could slide towards certain moments or up or down at different angles. Right? I'm really thinking that I'm gonna have some cool things for you guys in, some time. Ah, dang. Okay, well, that's gonna go out of the way for a little bit, right? So that's just that battery in my other camera died. I thought I could charge that, but we'll see. Maybe I just have to do something different this time. Right, this stuff right here, this is called something called chiptune. It's like using it'd be like using soundboards back in the day to make beats and songs and music. It's pretty cool. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're battling against the village of the orcs. Right? That's what this song sounds like. Or like I'm riding a horse into the wilderness to find a dungeon or to accomplish a quest. That's what I hear when I hear some of these songs, right? Right now, you entered the chapel after you finished the quest, destroying the evil, the dark demon pact of the West, right? You can still pull some of that. Ooh, buddy, let's see. It's pretty cool, guys. You can even see, since I was making those rivulets on the top, look at that. You can see the ridges of the throwing lines on the interior because I did such a, you saw those ridges on the top. Those actually come through also on the interior of the pot as well. And now I get to sort of reveal some of that to an audience on these forms. So much fun to think about. All these different ways that these forms get projected, right? Okay. Pinky underneath. Let's switch back. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whoo! There you go. Underneath. Oh, that's okay. I don't need that sponge. There we go, guys. It's number 2. I'm going to set this one over here. Our last and final pot here, guys. So, let's see. Hope you guys don't mind some of my weird little rants. Sometimes I just forget to, I don't know, sometimes pottery just puts me in these zones where it allows me to stop thinking about like the stuff that's happening in life. And I can think really about like what I think. It's like a time or a moment for me to do that. Yo. Oh. Wow. No. I'm in a dungeon now in the game or something. Okay, so here I am underneath. It's going to be pretty wobbly, so I'll just catch that quick. This is not on center. Not on center. There we go. There we go. Center. We got that hockey ball. Down, 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 down. Open, 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 open. Let go. Smooth, 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 smooth. Lift, 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 down, 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 down. Oh, here we go. Slow that wheel down. Slow that wheel down. Slow that wheel down. Lift the lid up. Here we go. Close. Just really trying to feel the music in correlation with the pot now. There's a rhythm you can sort of try to tap into there. Underneath. There it is. Right, it's uplifting, it's calm, we just got out of the cave. And we're looking at the sky. There's these beautiful birds in the sky. We see like a little town or a city, right? Making our way over there. Our vision's narrowing, right? Onto one spot. What's that? There's a person, a villager, comes out to greet us. I don't even know what he says, but I get closer. He's telling me, help, help, help. Someone stole my chickens, and I need to get them back. And so we go off into the woods nearby, looking for the thief that stole this man's chicken, right? You just hear this walking. I'm looking at some raccoons in the trees. I see an old little, what is that thing called? I forget what it is. It's like a carriage, right? An old carriage. Now we're rummaging through the old carriage contents. We find like a bow and arrow, or maybe even like an apple. Right? Gives us 2 health points back. Right? Or maybe we see like a snake crawling, and so we're just trying to like get away, but ends up that the snake is just not even going towards us, just doing its happy snake things. So we're back walking through the forest. What did I earn like today? Wow, you know what? Maybe I have to make some more things today, guys. Part of me is like, I'm feeling like really inspired right now. Okay, well, we're just gonna do these 4. Open that with just one hand this time. Right on that edge. Compress it down. Nice and sharp. Wow! This one kind of looks like it has a tall tree bushel on the top. And look how they fold it on the inside. Hold on, guys. Let me show you. Alright. But actually, no, I shouldn't make more today. I'm getting too distracted by the ceramic process. I got other stuff I gotta do. I really gotta apply for this job. So I'm gonna do that after this, but I'm really enjoying this music. I don't know about you guys, but hopefully like when I'm doing this thing, I don't just sound like a crazy person. Like maybe you guys can also imagine like what I'm seeing, like in my head when I'm listening to this music and throwing, right? You know what? We want to blow up the size of how this looks, right? So we want a lot of small things happening on the bottom to make it look more like a tree, right? Because we got more of that tree shape on this one. So here we are. Tiptoe, 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 curl, 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 curl. Got a lot of stuff on that bottom, right? Small foliage, like blades of grass. Alright, I feel like this is getting too epic, guys. Like, I feel like I should be like finishing like the end of like a massive like pull of a pot to that music, right? That's what I think when I hear that. Okay. Sweet. Okay, y'all. So, tree here. We gotta get these. Oh, but my thing's dead. So I guess I'll just have to do a classic thumbnail instead of me, you know, chilling out next to the pots on here. This one. Oh, I need the... Man, my hands are so dirty. Alright. There we go. I gotta get this one ripped, so it's... I have this one chilling out back here, though. Saying hello, right? Get this out wider, because it doesn't need to be... Oh, but we do want it not to fall off. This, we want it to just chill out. Don't touch that thing, but it can chill out there, right? So cool. Look at that image. Okay. Now I gotta act like... Maybe on which side am I gonna bend down on? Okay, it's this side. And I gotta act like... Like I'm wandering a forest here. Okay, let's see how... Is my head there? Wow, the forest. Okay, so there's that. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. All the best. Strong mentality. Peace.